All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Emre, and I'm going to be giving you a sneak preview of Snaps. I work at O1 Labs. If you haven't heard of O1 Labs before, it's the company that incubated the Meetup protocol and helped launch it earlier this year. And although it is a new layer one, it is an actually friendly layer one, and I'm going to talk about why that is later on. So let's take a quick look at the DeFi landscape today. Here you can see at the bottom, we have obviously Ethereum as the main settlement layer. Then we have liquidity protocols. These are the likes of Compound, Aave, many others. Then sometimes there's third-party end user applications that provide access to these liquidity protocols. Sometimes they're the same or built by the same company. And then at the very top, you have many, many users. Today, the way this whole scheme works is via collateral. As we know, it's whether it's lending or providing liquidity to AMMs or many other things, collateral is the backbone of this entire system. It's great because it works, but the problem is that it causes a lot of it enforces the users to be rich in order to be able to participate in any of this services provided by DeFi today. Users end up having to put a lot of collateral. So obviously, this is not how we reach the masses and how the ordinary users can use DeFi. And actually, this is something that the legacy financial services industry has solved for many, many decades now. What they do is, yes, collateral is still in the works, but they also make use of each individual's financial information. So we could do that if we want to remove or prevent it just being accessible to rich users. But then the issue is that instead of dollars or collateral, you end up having to share personally identifiable information, PII for short, across this entire stack. And the main problem here is that Ethereum, as with any other blockchain today, is every data shared on Ethereum is public forever for anyone to see. And obviously that's not going to work because not many people are going to share their banking information or social security number or credit score on a public database for the entire world to see. So what can we do? We need to provide some privacy locks at some point in the stack. So let's see how we can do that. We could do it at the end user application level where users share their information with the apps, but the apps, do some magic to not share it with the rest of the stack. But this essentially causes, this model causes these applications to be the likes of Coinbase, which have a lot of user information and can abstract some of it away from the stack. But it's not kind of the eventual goal of this decentralized system that we want to create because, Coinbase, as good as it is just like another bank. What about we put the liquidity protocols, the lock at the liquidity protocol level? This is even worse because although not a great analogy because they're not necessarily in the financial service industry, if you think about Facebook and social media, they use the internet as a information settlement layer, but everything else is within Facebook's confines and all of your information. Obviously, they make a lot of uses for it, good or bad. Then the question is, okay, what if we could put these privacy locks right at the user level? What if the users had a means to share or share their information or get use of or benefit from these applications without having to share their personal information? Well, that's what we're working on. So Snaps, which is short for snark-powered applications, we see them as a private Plaid for everything. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Plaid, it's a fintech company based in the US that basically does similar things in the legacy financial space, where they mostly link banking information of users. The catch, however, is Plaid, for example, sees your entire banking information forever. So all your transactions, whatever you use it to link, they see everything. So that's obviously not good, but that's in the legacy financial space where people are, I guess, used to their privacy being violated. But Snaps is kind of like a private version of this for anything, not just for banking, but for anything. How do we do this? So Snaps are a type of a decentralized application, which has two very important features, beyond which they're kind of like adapt smart contracts and all. Number one is instead of sharing the user's data directly, they prove facts about the user's data. And how do they do this? As some of you might be able to tell from the name, Snaps are based on zero-knowledge proofs, or specifically ZK snarks. And the magic of zero-knowledge proofs allow you to prove your information or prove a piece of data without sharing what it actually is. And then the second very important feature of this, which is actually a piece of the Snap stack, which we'll see a bit later, is that they embed universal trustless oracles, which we call web snaps for short. What does this mean? Oracles, obviously, many of the audience will be familiar with, but they're usually very limited in what they can be doing, and they're not trustless. So if you look at the likes of Chainlink or Maker or whatever, they're basically just for price feeds, and they're somewhat, they're pseudo maybe trustless, but at the end of the day, it's a limited subset of nodes that relay Oracle information. Whereas with web snaps, we basically leverage the TLS protocol, which how HTTPS servers already sign all of their data. And the good news is zero knowledge proofs, being the magic they are able to prove or essentially enable verification of these TLS signatures inside of a snark. So this opens a pathway for many interesting use cases. Some examples are unsecured lending with credit scores, which is kind of like a specific use of what I just mentioned. In fact, we already announced and showcased a proof of concept with Teller Finance, an Ethereum-based app, which is live on testnet, where you can link your credit score in the US to get more beneficial loan terms. Another example of this is you can privately verify your employment data, or whether you're accredited or not. Or DAOs, you can do private DAOs where you don't have to disclose your vote. You can basically prove that you voted on a result or on a specific thing without sharing who you are. So what's in the Snap stack at a technical level? So snaps are being built today, just off the bat. They're not live yet for you to play around with, but they will be in a month or two. At the base layer, as I mentioned, snaps are based on Mina, which is the world's lightest blockchain. What that means is with Mina, because it's built using recursive zero knowledge proofs, a full node is always 22 kilobytes in size. What that also enables is for there to be trustless bridges between Mina and Ethereum. In fact, there's a Ethereum Foundation grant or joint grant between the Mina Foundations and Ethereum Foundation to exactly enable this, to basically build an efficient snark prover for the Mina full node, such that there can be a trustless bridge built between Ethereum and Mina. The work on this is starting soon, so it'll be announced what the timelines are. But what that in turn will enable is for there to be smart contracts, which basically fully verify Mina, as well as any information or any snap transaction, as we call them, that happens on the Mina chain to be queried directly on the Ethereum smart contracts. And the other thing that this enables is that any dApp already on Ethereum or on any other chain, for them to benefit from snaps, they don't have to move, or they don't need to change anything, basically. It's not like other layer ones where you have to move away from Ethereum, or maybe have two versions of your applications. No, what snaps enable is just for Mina and snaps to be used as this, maybe like a layer 2 for data privacy, but otherwise keep the entire dApp as it is intact on Ethereum. And the dApp can query a smart contract, which relays over the private data verification that's happening on Mina. The other good news is the SDK that is being built for Mina or for snaps is TypeScript, which is basically like JavaScript. So super easy to use. There's a lot of tooling available already. We started showcasing just to private audiences, and the feedback so far is great. And then we're also enabling a bunch of libraries to essentially enable some of the magic, such as web snaps that I talked about, or to make it much easier to do snark programming. The other tricky thing here is that snarks is the new frontier. Good news is we're good at it. We have one of the best teams around, and we're building all the libraries to essentially enable for programmers to be easy to build in and loop in easily the various features that they need. So that's actually my presentation. Snaps, we hope, will enable a new frontier for DeFi, essentially be this private key, pun intended, for mass adoption, and enable many of the amazing DeFi apps here today, as well as many other use cases that we haven't even thought about yet, to go for enable many more users. As a reminder, by the way, only less than 2% of all Ethereum addresses today have used DeFi at any point. So we're still at the very beginning. There's a lot of ground to be covered. And we hope with snaps we can enable some of this without causing a lot of havoc and ask for Ethereum dApps to move their infrastructure away from Ethereum. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. And here are a few on slides information that you can, just DM me or someone from the O1 Labs or MENA teams to get more information. And we'll be announcing or releasing the SDK documentation and a preview very soon in a few months. Thank you for listening.